Morning. Morning.
Hello.
It's early on day 4 of the Adventure Racing World Championships in Portugal. Surviving on about 3 hours sleep so far, teams still have 2 days of racing to complete. The defending champions Orion are well placed but must complete the next stage of the race by midnight tonight. This means firstly completing the 60-kilometre trek to the castle town of Marveo and then completing a relentless 160-kilometre bike ride to Villaret under time pressure throughout. The Kiwis have had a little time to sleep overnight, but their big rivals Nike have had none and don't have any time to take any. They're further back on the course, and the cut-off 14 hours away at the end of the bike ride to Villaret is looming already. The team on top form this morning are Helly Hensen. Last night the Brits made a tactical decision to miss some checkpoints, and it's a decision that's paying off now. Although they've been to less checkpoints than Nike, they are way ahead on the ground and are more likely to make the cut-offs later on. They've also slept longer and deeper than expected.
We hadn't had much sleep the night before, and we'd had to get out of transition area because of the looming cut-off at 9 p.m. And happily found a nice hay barn to sleep in. We'd taken sleeping bags, so we were very comfortable. 2 of us set alarms and nobody woke up to either of them. So we had 4 hours sleep instead of our planned 2. So I think that night was probably a turning point for both those reasons. We were really well rested when we got up the next day and were moving much more quickly than any of the other teams.
It's from the stunning castle town of Marveo that the 160-kilometre bike ride to Villaret begins. Teams must be at the cut-off by midnight, and for some teams like Nike, there's absolutely no guarantee that they'll make it in time. Powered by that accidentally long sleep, Helly Hensen arrive in Marveo to begin the bike ride in fine form, apart from the odd war wound.
I crashed on the first day and took a big gash out of my leg, but I haven't had the time to clean it or sort it out. I definitely needed stitches, but I'll just have a battle scar from the event.
It's also time for the seat of your pants to get reacquainted with the saddle. The next 160 kilometres might test the limits of comfort. Orion are all smiles too as they set out on the ride, while behind them, Lundhags are struggling to match their pace after 3 days of continuous racing. 3 days that have taken their toll. Cascais have the appetite to stay with the fastest teams, but the French can't stay awake long enough to do so and are also dropping checkpoints.
How was the night?
Very tough. We had to stop a few times to sleep because we couldn't move anymore without almost falling on our face. So we decided to stop, and a few times we slept half an hour, like power sleep. There was a long and tough one.
Even Nike are going slower than they should be.
We are not going the pace we'd like to be going right now, and it's mostly just due to not finding a good place to sleep last night, and then choosing a not so great place to sleep the night before. You know, we obviously go through our low moments when we know we're not moving well or losing time because of this or that. So not a lot of laughs right now. We're all pretty tired. We need some sleep.
But they don't have time for any. They're just realising the scale of the bike ride they must complete in the next 10 hours if they're to make the cut-off at Villaret. Tom Gibbs' strategy has worked, and the race favourites Nike are under pressure. They're losing the strategic battle while Gibbs' Helly Hensen are winning it. And last night's 4.5 hours sleep means that they're still going strong and are in plenty of time to make that cut-off at Villaret, now about 35 kilometres away.
No one slept as much as us.
5 hours sleep over 3 nights is hardly excessive, but in that long sleep perhaps lies the secret of their success. They reach Ortiga, 3 hours ride from Villaret, just before sunset.
We don't know it.
So
No, we don't actually.
Nike are ahead in points, but we've got, we think, a couple of hours on them, which might count if there's too many CPs to collect at the end. So in the last stage, we hope that we'll be pressurised for time, because otherwise they're ahead.
Nike arrive at the same point over 4 hours later. After going for so many checkpoints early on, they're continually playing catch-up, but are still astounding everyone with their speed on the bikes.
How many left do we have?
To do it real efficiently. The important thing is to make the cut off. Okay, Chris.
What happens if you don't make it?
Game over.
They remain the favourites, but their strategy means they can't afford a single mistake. Helly Hensen have more leeway.
Come on, England.
Helly Hensen arrive at Villaret at 10 o'clock, well in advance of the midnight deadline.
Initially you were thinking about a top 10 finish, things changed a bit?
Yeah, well obviously now we want to try and win it, but we're happy with where we are in some respects, but you know, you're also looking over your shoulder at the people behind you, so we've got to make sure we do the business.
On camera. Oh, no.
They start the next stage in high spirits. The local hall is full of sleeping racers, but those later teams who still have hopes of winning the event can't afford to stop here. Orion amongst them.
We were hoping to get here closer to maybe 9, so we could get a good couple of hours sleep. Because more cut-offs tomorrow, which I think now we'll be struggling to make those. So it's just forever chasing the course sort of thing.
Nike are doing just that. They must make Villaret by midnight to stay in the race. They come in with just 18 minutes to spare, a fine line after a 160-kilometre ride. They have only those 18 minutes to access their kit and prepare for the next stage. In a sport where your equipment can be the difference between finishing the race in one piece or not, 18 minutes is seldom enough. They've still got more checkpoints than the rest of the teams, but like Cinderella, Nike must be gone from here by midnight.
Okay, we gotta go, guys.
Time is closing, guys!
Come on. I know. We don't want that. We have to throw it away. No time to talk right now. I'm sorry.
The rush means that they're out on the road in the rain and in a little disarray for the stage ahead. A 105-kilometre trek, kayak and bike, which must be completed by 2 p.m. the next day, giving them just 14 hours. By 1 a.m, the racers have the roads to themselves, and those in need of a dry place to sleep can take advantage of that. Early on in the trek, there's a tricky and wet rope section, but now all the teams are missing out on checkpoints and chasing a shorter course, doing only what they have time for. These teams have missed too many checkpoints to challenge the leaders, but it's soon after the rope section, in the driving rain and with confusion of many teams around them, that Orion's race suddenly unravels.
Just at the bottom of the canyon there was a checkpoint, and quite often when we come to a building and it's a checkpoint building, I would split off from the team and go around one side of the building while the others go the other way, and we'd meet up on the other side of it. So that's what I did, looking for if the checkpoint was around the back. And I got all the way around the back and it was a big building, no checkpoint. And then I looked over this bank and could see the others had found it and were carrying on. So I ran back around the building, checked in, walked about 30 metres up the single path that we were following. And there's a fork in the road, three tracks went off at this one point, and I'm like, which one did they go down? They hadn't noticed that I wasn't with them because there was another team that were borrowing our navigation, I guess, and just were following us the whole way. And they kept going. I, in the meantime, sat in the rain waiting for them to come back for me because I didn't know where to go. I hadn't looked at the map.